This video will cover the removal and replacement of the components in a front-end kit on a VST G2 nozzle. Here are some things to be aware of before you begin servicing a VST nozzle. To perform vapor collection replacement and nozzle spout replacement, you must be an ASC level A, B, C, or D. According to the executive order, you do not have to be a certified ASC to install a new VST EVR nozzle. However, local air districts may impose other requirements. Always check with local air districts for their requirements. The shipping carton of a front-end repair kit contains complete instructions for installing each of the components. It is document IOM 7. Be safe. Remember, you're dealing with a potentially highly explosive, highly flammable liquid and equipment that can take your life. You must constantly be aware of the need for a high degree of concern for not only the public safety, but your personal safety as well. Don't take any chances or shortcuts. Be sure to check with the local authorities about their safety requirements for the area in which you'll be working. Here are the top safety precautions. 1. Appropriately barricade the work area to block vehicle access. 2. For the dispenser, power it off, lock and tag it out, close the product shear valve. 3. Drain the liquid into an approved container. 4. Remove old hanging hardware before assembling the new components. Always adhere to the appropriate lockout-tagout procedures. Here are the components for the G2 nozzle front-end kit. The VST FEK300 contains the vapor collection kit, the nozzle spout assembly, an interlock rod, and 2 O-rings. The VST NSA300 contains the nozzle spout assembly, an interlock rod, and 2 O-rings. The VST VCK300 contains just the vapor collection kit. If there's been spout damage to a nozzle from a drive-off or customer abuse, VST recommends replacing the entire front-end kit with a VST FEK300. This is a cost-effective way to maintain and extend the useful life of the nozzle. The required tools are a torque wrench with the VST SRT 200 torque wrench attachment, band clamp pincers, petroleum jelly, and Loctite 271. Before you begin replacing the front-end kit on a VST EVR nozzle, you need to make sure you've matched the correct front-end components to the correct nozzle. Remember, the SRM nozzle has a black label on it, and the G2 nozzle has a blue label on it. Take a moment to verify which nozzle you'll be repairing to avoid installing a mismatched front-end kit. And finally, the G2 nozzle has a blue instruction sheet and the SRM nozzle has a white instruction sheet. Let's begin with the instructions for removing and replacing the vapor collection assembly. Remove the large band clamp from the vapor collection assembly with the nozzle band clamp pincers. Pull the vapor collection assembly, also called the boot, off of the clamping groove of the nozzle body. Pull the vapor collection assembly off of the spout by slightly twisting it to go over the spout latch ring. To replace the vapor collection kit, begin by placing the large band clamp on the collection sleeve. Verify that the interlock rod is properly inserted into the hole of the interlock sleeve located around the spout prior to pushing the vapor collection kit into place. The rod should be visible through the side hole of the sleeve. Slide the VST VCK300 over the spout. Align and center all the alignment marks on top of the vapor collection kit and nozzle scuff. Engage the interlock a few times to check for correct alignment and functionality. Tighten the band clamp until the collection sleeve will not rotate. Now let's continue with the removal and replacement of the nozzle spout assembly. Hold the interlock rod in place to allow the rod to be disengaged from the hole of the sleeve that is located around the spout nut. Slide and rotate the sleeve away from the spout nut and remove the interlock rod. Loosen the spout with the spout nut torque wrench attachment. Do not use a pipe wrench or locking type pliers. Once the threads are completely disengaged, pull the spout straight out. The fuel chamber should remain in the nozzle casting with the vacuum sensing tube hole to the top. If the fuel chamber is pulled out of the nozzle casting, check the O-rings for damage. Replace the O-rings if they are damaged. Lubricate the O-rings prior to reassembly. Insert the fuel chamber into the nozzle casting. The poppet stem with the spring goes through the poppet hole in the fuel chamber, the center hole. Push the fuel chamber until it is flush with the casting. The vacuum sensing tube hole in the fuel chamber should be oriented at the top. Now you're ready to install the new one. Align the vacuum sensing tube with the mating hole in the fuel chamber. Lightly lubricate all O-rings on the mating connections with petroleum jelly or other suitable lubricant. Do not use pipe dope or thread sealant. Align the anti-rotation bump on the spout with the casting notch. Be careful not to damage the spout O-ring. Firmly insert the spout assembly into the nozzle casting. Apply a dab of Loctite 271 to the male thread of the nozzle casting. Be careful not to apply the Loctite so that it would enter into the casting notch. Thread the spout nut onto the nozzle casting and tighten firmly. Torque to 34 foot-pounds. Use the spout nut torque wrench attachment in order to apply the appropriate torque. The spout should be tight and not able to rotate. Do not over-tighten the spout nut. After tightening the spout nut, place the interlock rod into the hole of the nozzle casting. Move the sleeve in place so the interlock rod is inserted into the recessed hole in the end of the sleeve. The interlock rod may be compressed into the nozzle to ease the insertion. The interlock rod should be visible through the side hole of the sleeve. Anytime you replace or repair a component, you must perform these 3 tests to make sure the component is functioning correctly. 1. A leak test. 2. A nozzle shutoff test. And 3. A resistance test. You've reached the end of this video.